What is up, all my kaiju friends and fans? This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room here in Greater Cincinnati. And in this, I have a double review here today, and it is for the X Plus Godzilla Earth 2017, the RIC and the Standard Editions. We will see them both together at the same time. I'll do like the double review at the same time of the figures. But they're from the anime movie Godzilla Monster Planet from 2017. I'll be honest, these are not my favorite Godzilla movies. The first one was the best one in my view. I couldn't even make it through the second one. I tried multiple times. I just wasn't feeling it. And I haven't even tried the third one because I just figured it wasn't much better. But I did make it through the whole first one, and it wasn't that bad. The whole concept of that Godzilla took over the Earth and forced the humans off the Earth. They went into space and managed to survive for a long time, like 20,000 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then they start having issues on that spot that they found in space to live, and they decided they had to try to come back to Earth. So that's what they do. They send a team to investigate the Earth and see if it's still habitable for them. And then they discover that Godzilla is still there and prevalent, and the planet has taken on, or Godzilla has taken on, the planet's attributes, because this Godzilla is kind of like more of a plantish plant. Environmental Godzilla, I guess, is the best way I would say it. But it's a pretty good movie. They try to kill him and get rid of him, and they can. And it wasn't that bad, the first one. Now the other two, the second one was horrible. I thought I just couldn't get into it. I tried, I just couldn't. But the first one is serviceable, and that's what these two figures are based from, is the first one. I will bring those figures forward, this RIC and the Standard Editions, right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. Here they are. The X Plus Godzilla Earth 2017. The RIC is the sunset version. They call it sunset. The orange version, and the Standard is the greenish blue version. I've heard this defined as blue, but on some internet sites, but to me it's got a really green tone to it. They're both really fantastic design and figure. I love this design of this Godzilla, just my opinion. I love the design and concept of it. It does, a lot of people say that it does kind of look like the legendary Godzilla, and it does favor the legendary Godzilla. But I do like the design and the concept of this Godzilla. Is it's taken on the attributes of the environment on Earth and stuff, so it's really nicely done. As far as these two figures go, the tails start off and come to an exact point. It's almost a spike on the end of the tails. Goes to a pretty sharp point, actually. And the base of that tail, where the spike is, it's kind of just all smooth, and I'm guessing it's more almost like bone type material, because just looks like that's what it is to me. Then as you start up the tail, we got the little small plates, of course, signature of every Godzilla. The little small plates on the Standard, of course, are green. I'm calling it green. The smaller plates, of course, on the Sunset RIC version are orange. And as you get up toward the base of the tail where it connects to him, they get bigger. Of course, orange with the RIC, green with the Standard. But the dorsal plates start off as a single row and then go right into a triple row about halfway up the tail, and as they escalate to their big size. Then, of course, the dorsal plates on the back are big, 3 big rows, and even 2 little tiny outer rows. This got really 5 rows on the main part of the back. But of course, the RIC is the orange plates, the Standard is the green plates, And of course, these are leaf shaped and leafy looking plates. They have like leaf textures on them and stuff, and like leaf veins running through them. They're really unique. It's really unique design, and I think it's kind of cool actually how they did it. But the plates are nicely done. Like I said, he's got some pretty big, imposing dorsal plates. The feet are big and very elongated, long feet, 4 toes on the feet. Very viney looking on top, textures on the feet. For sure. I mean, they, of course, the standard has the green, and the RIC has the orange effect on the feet, but this is pretty much green all throughout. This RIC is orange with some darker blackish texturing in the textures of the skin, but prevalently orange is his body color. But the feet are very long feet, very elongated, big toenails. The hands have 4 fingers on them with nice big claws, green for the standard, orange of course for the RIC. Big, huge, thick thighs and leg, and very defined muscle design on these Godzillas, in the arms, in the upper thighs, and the legs, and the lower legs. Very, very muscular design, and it almost looks like viney, especially the tail texture. The tail textures on the figure really look like they're almost viney type, the tail area. The rest of his body, the legs, the upper legs, the thighs, the arms, they're all very he's a very muscular looking Godzilla, very thick and broad as well, because this thing is in hunched down mode, and it's a big 30 centimeter figure. I imagine if it was standing more upright, it would clearly be the tallest of the 30 centimeter line, because he's kind of hunched over. But big, thick, nice texturing on the legs. It almost looks like vines even on the legs. Intertwined vines to me. The skin texture looks like intertwined vines or something. Very unique on both figures, the RIC and the standard. Like I said, orange is prevalent on the skin of the RIC, with some darker darkish black, brownish textures in the skin texturing of the figure. Like I said, all the skin texturing on these two is very reminiscent of like vines to me. That's what I look at it and think of. Big, thick, broad chest and abdomen and everything. Big, wide, muscular looking figure. It really is impressive looking. Up into the neck area and on either side, it's similar texturing as the legs and arms and stuff. It really tends to look like vining texture kind of, and the tail is really pronounced with the vining texture, but it's very thick. Looks like he's very heavily armored skin to me. As far as the head goes, on the back of the head there, we got some small little tiny spikes that go up to the head. It's pretty flat on top of his head. Fairly small eyebrow ridge, actually. Very long snout on this Godzilla, almost to a point, his snout on this Godzilla. He has beards, which is growths that are kind of like a beard that hang down. Of course, he's green. Everything here is green on the standard, and then we got the orange prevalent on the RIC. But the teeth are kind of just grown out of the jaw. Of course, it looks like it's kind of grown, like the beard's grown out, because it really signifies its relationship with the Earth's environment and stuff to me. That's why it's called Godzilla Earth, I guess. So, but it's really, really nicely done figure. Nice details on the face, on its snout. The best way I can just explain it, it's very long snout. It's a long, slender, almost to a point. His nose kind of has a point on the end of it, really. Snout. Like I said, the teeth grow out of the jaws, especially the upper jaw. Not so much many teeth on the lower jaw. They're mostly on the upper jaw, looks like to me. His eyes are white. And then the pupil is a black, triangular shaped almost. And then the outer of the pupil is blue, with some more black, I believe. But it's a really unique looking eye. It's white on the base, on the corners and the outer quarters of the eye, but then in the pupil it's a black, almost triangular shaped, and then some blue there and more black as well. But the eyes are really unique looking. They're very small too. Considering the size of the figure, his eyes are very small. These are both nicely done. I think the RIC really stands out on the shelf. Anywhere you would put it on a shelf with your X Plus collection, it's just going to stand out because of its color. It's really going to stand out. But they are really both nicely done. They're the same sculpt, best I can tell. They're the exact same sculpt, just different paint applications. But I think they're nicely done. I think they were limited release, so I think right now they're probably hard to find. They're probably aftermarket and they're probably fairly expensive, I imagine. When I seen them go up, at first I was just going to go with one of them and I couldn't really decide, so I decided I had the money, so I went ahead and ordered both of them through an awesome collector in Jason Welling. That's just where I purchased these from when they went up on pre-order on his site. I pre-ordered them both, and I'm ultimately glad I did because it represents both versions of the Godzilla in the film. This is the Godzilla you see prevalently in the film, the green one, but then when the sunset, toward the end of the film, I believe, is when the sunset battle, and the sun is reflecting off of him and making him look orange like this, and that's what this represents. Alright, I will go on to some size comparisons, and we'll do that right now. Alright, here's my X Plus Godzilla 1967 30 centimeter figure with my two Godzilla Earth versions, the RIC and the standard. I brought up the 67 because he's one of the tallest in the line, and he's definitely taller, but no way bulkier, not even close to being bulkier than these two. These two are way bulky. They earn their name and their size. They're the biggest Godzilla in the whole of the franchise, if you can include them in the franchise. Things like 1,000 feet tall, I think. So they are big. They look pretty cool. Alright, we'll go on to another size comparison right now. Alright, this is the X Plus 30 centimeter Godzilla 95 Burning Godzilla original release with my Godzilla Earth crew. These are two of the bulkiest 30 centimeters as far as girth that there is. And also their footprint is kind of big because the tail goes out to the left of the figure, but it's kind of broad the way it goes out and it takes up some space. So, but it is does take up a little bit of space. I put these two on one of these shelves and they almost pretty much consume it. I'm sure you could probably fit something else in there, a smaller figure, but they pretty much take up a shelf because of just the way their tails are. Alright, we'll go on to another size comparison right away. Alright everybody, I've got the original 30 centimeter release of the GMK Godzilla 2001 X Plus here with my Godzilla Earth figures, the RIC and the standard edition. Of course, this original GMK is really girthy. Actually, this is my favorite rendition of the GMK. I know it's not the most detailed of them all. I mean, the FSL and the Sakai on detail-wise surpass this, but I like the size, the way his head is forward-leaning. It's my favorite one. I know it's not the most detailed, but it's just to me, it's the most suit accurate as far as the suit. Not the details, but just the suit. But he's a pretty girthy guy, but he's not as girthy as Godzilla Earth, for sure. Alright, we'll do one more final size comparison right away. Alright, I brought forth the X Plus 30 centimeter Godzilla 2014. This is the Godzilla that when this was initially came out, the design, this is what everyone compared it to. was the legendary Godzilla, and there are some comparisons, I would say. They're both bulky and big, similar looking design in the face, but Earth has a much longer, thinner snout than the legendary Goji. His snout is way longer but not as broad. It's longer, and to me that's the difference. But the design and look in the face is similar, in my opinion, to the legendary Goji and the Godzilla Earth. And they look similar in the way their arms are designed, just the way the length of them are, and the way they're just there's a lot of similarities, and I can see why people said that when they came out. They look pretty cool together, though. I mean, I'd say Godzilla Earth is the king of the girth in the 30 centimeter line. All right, I will move on to some final thoughts on these, and we'll do that right now. All right, everybody, I'm back. These two are really great figures, and I'm glad I decided to go with both, because they're both hold their own merits as far as the paint apps. They're very different in that regard. The paint apps make them a lot unique and different, and they both would stick out on the shelf just because of their pure size. You put them with your 30 centimeter lineup, and it's going to be like, whoa. And if you put this like in the middle of the Heisei's or the Showa or the Millennium, you set this in the middle of them, and people would be like, what in the world is that? You know, because his coloring really sticks out on a shelf. It's really, really unique as far as the coloring. And the standard is the prevalent Godzilla look in the film as far as the green. So I really feel cool and good with buying both. Like I said, the textures of their skin remind me of vining, like in a jungle vining, especially on the tail. But even on the body, it looks like vines, twisted vines and stuff. So that's the way I look at it. And being that they're called Godzilla Earth, it kind of makes sense. But if you can afford yourself to get these, I would suggest getting one, just because of the uniqueness of the design. And the X Plus really knocked it out of the park with these figures, I think. Alright, I will bring the camera closer for a close-up of these two. I want to thank everybody for their time and attention, as always, for watching my channel. I appreciate it. This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room in Greater Cincinnati. Hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.